Have you ever stopped to wonder what an interest rate really is? I mean, we see them everywhere, right? On mortgages, on car loans, on our savings accounts. But they can feel like this mysterious number that's just set by forces way beyond our control. Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back that curtain and show you the hidden machinery that actually determines the true price of money.
So let's get right to it. What is the true price of money? To answer that, we actually have to start not with a number, but with a concept. At its very core, you can think of an interest rate as the rental price of money. It's that simple. If you're a borrower, you pay this price. It's kind of like a penalty for spending money before you've actually earned it. But if you're a lender, you get to collect that price. It's a reward for putting off your own spending. It's all about the cost of using someone else's purchasing power for a little while.
Okay, so to really understand the rates that we see out there in the wild, we first have to get a handle on this theoretical idea called the real rate of interest. Just think of it as the bedrock, the foundation that all the other rates are built on.
Now, this real rate is basically the outcome of a giant tug-of-war between two really powerful opposite forces. On one side of the rope, you've got what's called the productivity of capital. That's just the business world's desire to borrow money so they can invest in things like new factories, new tech, stuff that's going to generate a profit. And on the other side, that's our collective positive time preference. It's a fancy term for a very human thing. We just tend to want stuff now rather than later. It's the desire to spend. And this is where those two forces find their balance. See that downward sloping curve? That represents borrowing. As the interest rate goes up, the desire to borrow money for new investments goes down. Makes sense? Now the upward sloping curve, that's lending. As rates climb, the incentive for people to save and lend their money gets bigger. The spot where they cross, that's the equilibrium. That's our real rate of interest, which, just for context, has historically tended to hang out around 3% here in the US.
All right, let's take that theoretical tug-of-war and see how it actually plays out in the real world. This brings us to something called the loanable funds theory, which looks at interest rates as the price that's set in the actual marketplace for money. So, who's in this market? Well, pretty much everyone. On the supply side, you've got the lenders. That's you and me putting money into savings accounts, it's businesses with extra cash, and even governments when they run a surplus. And on the demand side, you have the borrowers. Consumers using credit cards, businesses taking out loans to expand, and, you guessed it, governments when they're funding their deficits.
The logic here is pretty much straight out of Economics 101. Let's look at the supply curve first. When interest rates go up, the rewards you get for saving is higher. So, naturally, more people and companies are willing to lend out their money. And that's why this curve slopes up and to the right. Now for the other side of that coin, demand. As those rates climb, the cost of borrowing gets more expensive. So fewer people want to take out a mortgage, and fewer businesses want to get a loan for that new piece of equipment. And this is why the demand curve slopes down.
And just like before, where those two opposing forces of supply and demand meet, that's our market equilibrium. This single point is so important because it determines not just the interest rate everyone gets, but also the total amount of money that's flowing through the economy at that exact moment.
And this is where you can see how powerful this concept is. When a major player, like the Federal Reserve, decides to, say, increase the money supply, that whole supply curve literally shifts to the right. All of a sudden, there's more money available to be lent out at every single price point. And what does that do? It pushes the equilibrium interest rate down for everybody.
Okay, so we've got our market, we've got our lenders, we've got our borrowers. It seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, there's a third, incredibly powerful force that comes in and can totally warp this entire picture. And that spoiler is inflation. This introduces a really crucial difference we have to understand. The nominal rate, that's the number you see advertised. It's the sticker price on the loan or the savings account. But the real rate, that's what you're actually earning or paying after you factor in how inflation is eating away at the value of that money over time. It's your true return.
The economist Irving Fisher was really the one who first nailed this down. He saw that the real rate was set by those fundamental forces we talked about earlier, that tug-of-war between our desire to spend now versus the opportunity to invest for the future.
And he gave us this beautiful, simple little formula called the Fisher equation. All it says is that the nominal rate you see in the market, the sticker price, is just the real rate of interest plus whatever the market expects inflation to be. Lenders tack on this little inflation premium to protect their future purchasing power.
This table really hammers the point home. Check out periods 2 and 3. The real rate is the same, 5%, and expected inflation is sitting at 7% in both periods. So what happens? The nominal rate stays put at 12%. It's only when the expectation of future inflation changes, like in period 4 when it jumps to 9%, that the nominal rate actually moves. It's all about what the market thinks is going to happen next.
So, there we have it, the complete picture. You've got the real rate, you've got the market for loanable funds, and you've got inflation expectations, all mixing together to set the price of money. But what does this mean for trying to predict the future?
Well, this is how the experts try to figure out where rates are headed. They use these incredibly complex economic models, they track how money is flowing through the whole financial system, and they analyze something called the yield curve for clues about the market's collective gut feeling. But because what they're really trying to do is predict human expectations, let's just say their track record isn't exactly perfect.
So now you have the toolkit. You know that an interest rate isn't just some random number pulled out of thin air. It's the result of this incredibly dynamic tug of war between our desire to invest, our desire to spend, and our collective guess about what the future holds. So the next time you see a headline about the Fed or you go to take out a loan, you'll see these hidden forces hard at work.